It's slim, sleek, and simple, but man, did this thing come to throw hands. Good afternoon, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece Frontier Walkie Triple XL. We've got the Lenovo LOQ, not the Legion LOQ, the Lenovo LOQ, just straightforward this time. Basically, it's the Legion, but not quite. It's just like stepping down from that in look and feel. And that's about it. The internals of this thing are sick. There's only one thing that I ran into a problem with across the entire notebook. It's got some of the best features and some of the best functions that I've seen in a notebook of this price, and this is now my new default. If you ask me what laptop you should buy, this is probably what I'm going to suggest. Finally, other notebooks, which I won't mention right now, for their own benefit, have been dethroned. This is my new favorite, and let me show you why. Starting off with the package contents, you get a nice little mouse, and it's not completely e-waste like level. It's actually pretty decent. It's nothing I would try and compete on, or try and have a budding esports career. And it's got, as you can see, all the optical on the bottom over there, but it's got a DPI switch, which is kind of nice. It's got a decent scroll and thumb buttons, and it's got the defaults that we want to see. And it's kind of cool that it comes for free. So you've got an extra mouse. Even if you had a gaming mouse, then you've got a spare. But if you didn't, then at least you got something that's workable and is actually not completely rubbish. The laptop itself, obviously, and then because Uncle Evetech, you get a backpack and a set of Airlink 101s, which is really, really nice. So all of that for $23,999 with a spec on the face of things is already pretty competitive, but it gets a lot better, trust me. We're going to start off from the top with the webcam, which I'm going to give you a demo of right now.
Alrighty, so this is the cam and mic test, and I think you'll agree the camera is kind of amazing. Even in low light, it looks pretty damn good, and it's full 1080p 30 FPS camera. So if you just want to use it for some basic conferencing, people can see you pretty damn clearly. But with some lighting, I think you're going to be kind of stunned at how incredible it looks. Now with a little bit of lighting, you can see how incredibly sharp the image resolution is. I'm stunned at how good the aperture performance is. It does have pretty good white balance control as well. You can see it kind of as I put my hands closer to it and then further away and stuff. It automatically balances that. But if you had a ring light or some pretty decent like ambient lighting, then this would be more than enough. You could even feasibly stream off this and it wouldn't be completely offensive to the viewer. I mean, the detail's good enough that you can see all of my flipping gray hairs. And on that bombshell, back to the studio.
As you can see, the picture quality from this is astronomically good. Yes, the array microphone is terrible. They all are. Most of them are. It's a pinhole microphone. I mean, it's like literally that big over there. It's not going to pick up much. But that webcam performance, are you just, my bro? That's actually incredible. Then we move on to the monitor, which has not the best color reproduction I've ever seen. It's got a trick up its sleeve where we can fix that, honestly. But the 16:10 ratio and the 1920x1200 with one of the best pixel response times I've seen on a 144 Hz makes me believe it's IPS. I don't know exactly what technology it is, but just because of those pixel response times being as good as they are, even 60 FPS looked extremely fluid on this. So, and no color drag, no smear, etc. It's very responsive. It's definitely gaming inclined. Then we move over to the keyboard and the touchpad. Touchpad did give me a little bit of a pause over here because it does bend and go actually underneath the body in the very bottom corners over here, but the rest of it was pretty good. The keyboard also pretty good and pretty damn good backlighting with some control via the Lenovo Vantage software. Don't expect incredible next level like Corsair IQ levels of control, but it's enough that you're going to be able to get the color you want out of it or some sort of effect out of it and control the brightness and turn it on and off. It's got the basic functions down pat. Then we move on to the port setup. This is one of the things that they've absolutely knocked out of the park and every single notebook manufacturer should be doing. This is the way to do it. I just love this. They started doing this with the Lenovo Legions and it's the way to do it. So on the left hand side, you just have a Type-C and then your headphone jack. Okay, and then you obviously have the port over there for the cooling. Then on the right hand side, you have a switch for the webcam and a USB type A. That doesn't seem like a lot of ports, does it? Until you move around the back. And this is where they've put in your charger, they put in an HDMI, they put in the RJ, and then 2 more type A's for your USBs. So all of your connections don't sit on the side of the laptop for you to bash with your mouse hand. How much better is that? It's just, everybody should be doing this, okay? The vents as well out the back like that, sucking in from the side and then pushing out the back, are completely open. There's nothing to get in the way over there so that they can do their cooling job better. Thank you, Lenovo. To everybody else, take note, that's how you do port setup on this thing. And more credence to that, if we look around the bottom, it's a 1-panel design. You've got 8 screws over there to take it off. You're going to get access to all of your memory and your storage products really simply and quickly. And then those big vents across the bottom like that have got prongs to, there's stands over there to prong them up so that the air can then flow nicely in through the laptop. This is the way to do it. This is the way to do a laptop chassis. And it's sleek and simple. It's got a nice lock on the back cover over here with a Lenovo on the other side, so you know what it is at a first glance, but without it being too shouty, too over the top. And I love the blue accents. I absolutely love them, just to set it apart as that branding, like Lenovo is blue. I mean, I'm in the Lenovo shirt today, the one that, with the Legion and everything. And blue is their thing, and it's their color. And the fact that they made those the same color as their brick, it's just good. So the physical setup is incredible. Now we get to performance, and they've really dotted the I's and crossed the T's on their front. This has got the 13620 i7, and if you need processing power, then this is the one. An interesting caveat with this is their software and their AI claims of performance. I had to go and test that out and see how effective it would be from just having like a default standard profile to then upping the performance. And it did. It produced performance with basically the same noise levels. It was pretty quiet. This is one of the quieter notebooks. I didn't do a sound meter test on it because it was sub 50 dB guaranteed. It was at the point where even with my open back headphones, if I put them on and this was running a benchmark, I couldn't really hear it on the side. So it does run cool and quiet because the cooling setup, like we've just discussed, is pretty overkill, and it needs to be to get the most out of that processor. You can see with the Cinebench results, it's doing just that. Whether it's single core performance or multi-threading, you are going to get performance enhanced by putting it into the high performance managed mode, where you take control of all the fans and the rest of it. You can, though, with the software, take control of it yourself and tune it and tweak it as much as you would want to, which is exceptional. It has full capacity for testing components built into it, so you can get a quick snapshot of your machine's health and see if there are any problems without having to go and run long-term kind of benchmarks and stuff, which we absolutely love. And then it's got the ability to control the GPU from being on the Optimus mode or just direct, and that's where that trick comes in to then change the monitor, and you can add saturation to it now because you've got access to full NVIDIA control panel. So of course, once I got that, I pumped it to 70% of normal, like from 50%, I added 20% saturation, and then it looked absolutely incredible. But anyway, the performance that you derive from this is, it actually is a thing. It's not some sort of marketing gimmick. I can actually physically show you it increasing in performance, and so much so, it kind of beat other laptops with technically better hardware on this specification. So they've done an incredible job to get absolutely everything out of it. And if we look at more of those gaming benchmarks like Cyberpunk, with a little bit of tweaking on a higher setting with some ray tracing as well, I managed to get 70 FPS, nearly average. That's pretty good. You could probably include ray traced reflections, and then that would be about 60 FPS. So you can do some pretty decent ray tracing on like AAA games even with the 4050 because of the way that they've set up this lock with that extra wattage being included. You're going to see the same thing in Crysis. I got over 100 FPS on the very high test, which is just disgusting. And then more of the same if we look at Vermintide. It's actually esports ready. It's like nearly 144 hertz frame average. Now, you may have noticed in some of these tests as well that the 1% lows were a little bit slow. And this is the one caveat I do have, is around the storage. The storage itself does seem to have a problem when it goes over 50%. I'm not sure if this is I'm pretty sure this is their included drive that they would ship it with out to end users. So just be aware of that, especially with the 512. That only gives you a headroom of what, like 250 gigs worth of stuff before you're going to have problems there on that write cycle. And it's very evident once I removed all the games and I redid the test at like 18% full rate is what I think it was at, then the write suddenly jumps up. The read doesn't seem to be that affected by that, but just be aware of that. You might want to get a 1 terabyte or get your own high performance Gen 4 drive and slap that in here. The networking was more predictable goodness. It got over 100 megabytes per second, or nearly a gigabit worth of Wi-Fi speed, and on the wireless speed test as well with my line, it was going over 600 megabits per second. So it's going to be able to take advantage of really, really big internet as well, which is good. And battery life was also kind of average. I turned off the GPU, which is something nice, once again, you can do with Advantage to get more performance and battery life out of it. And then that gave me just on 4 hours worth of continuous video playback, which is not amazing for this battery size. It's an 80 watt hour, I believe, that goes into these, but it's still okay. We'll still give it a passing grade, and that's going to get you about 7-8 hours worth of work time during web browsing and stuff like that, which is obviously a lot less intensive than consistently playing back video. And I can't help but feel it's down to somewhat to how OP the screen is and how like next level it is. If I dropped it to 60 hertz, I would have probably gotten like another hour worth of continuous video playback out of it. But beyond that, like I said, the only thing that I was like, okay, this is not what it should be, was the storage. But the gaming performance, it was exceptional. Fast Strike in times by, like I say, it beat laptops with technically better hardware, with a higher chipset, with more video memory, and this thing ran faster. It's because of the way that they've done this power setup and their little AI tool, which is further enhancing those TDPs with the cooling to give you even better performance than average. And so far, at this price point, there's nothing with that amount of processing power. This 13620 pushes to a level that's almost unreasonable. A 13900H got 17,000. So this getting 14,600 is astronomically good at the price point. The performance of this thing, the way it looks, and the nice little touches, like on the back over here, it's got like the USB and the charging port connector, so you can see when it shows when the battery's low, and you know, it turns white when it's full, and it's cleverly done. It's very nicely put together. It's sleek, it's simple, it's not overstated. The supporting components, the main stuff, the things you can't change, like the webcam and the keyboard and the touchpad, are exceptionally good. The port layout, untouchable, and then that performance that comes from that high wattage environment is really, really cool. And the fact that I can then tune it in the Lenovo Advantage software to my specific requirement at that time, at the click of a button. And sometimes, yeah, a restart, if you want to change from Optimus to direct GPU only, you're going to have to restart it. But even when the drive is full, there's no read problems. So a restart is like 10-15 seconds of your time, and then you're in the exact environment you need it to be in. And the fact that I got full NVIDIA control panels set up from it, it's a first that I've had on a notebook of this kind of price. Especially a lot of the higher end stuff has mux switches, but often, even if you put it to the GPU, it doesn't give you the full NVIDIA control panel setting. And having that, and the capacity to obviously then do G-Sync from there is enabled, and etc. It's sick. Like the way that this thing functions, the included software is good. They knocked it out of the park, and the port setup at the back, it's just untouchable. Like there's nothing else that comes close to this at the price point for feature set, and especially your base feature set. Just that storage. I don't know what can't happen over there, but maybe we just pretend it didn't. Anywho, that is all I have for you on the Lenovo Legion Lock. I love it. I think this is the one, guys. If you've been waiting to see a try before you buy or a review from your boy, this is the one. Don't even hesitate. Just go and get it right now. It's exceptional. We'll have to see what its lifetime at longevity comes out at with all that wattage and stuff, but at least the cooling is prepped up to give you that sort of performance. And these things can't boost without that temperature headroom. So you don't even have to take my word for it. It's just how the technology functions. Anywho, that's all I have for you on the Lenovo Legion Lock. If you have enjoyed this review, please hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.